We went and bought all of the possible brands and products that 5 largest food conglomerates in the world own. They actually own all of these. And in this video, I'm just going to talk about each and every one of them. I'm going to go from smallest to largest by revenue, so that by the end of the video, you will know exactly what you're buying, exactly where your money is going, and exactly who controls what you eat and drink. When you look at cereals at the aisle here, you can see that it seems like there's tons of options, like so many different brands to choose from. But in reality, all of the cereal market, or, well, rather 79%, is controlled by just 3 companies, right? There is General Mills, there is Post, and there is Kellogg's. Kellogg's logo was actually handwritten by the founder, John Kellogg, ages ago, like 100 years ago, and it hasn't changed ever since. Now, Pringles was a brand that Kellogg's has acquired from Procter & Gamble a while ago, and it was really one of the most successful snacks acquisitions in the history of this industry. This is the correct way to eat Pringles, by the way. The fact that I find completely mind-blowing, I just was in New York 2 weeks ago, and everyone knows Times Square, right, the world's biggest advertising spot. So Kellogg's was the first ever brand to advertise there. All of these iconic brands, mostly in chocolate kind of snacking, but also cream cheese and coffee, are owned by a company called Mondelez International. You probably haven't heard of it because it's kind of relatively recent. It was only established in 2012. And it's based now in the US. They turn over around $25 billion a year, which is making it one of the biggest food companies in the world. Now, a few curious things about these products. For example, Oreo has no plural, according to Mondelez. The correct way to say 4 Oreos is actually 4 Oreo cookies. Another fact is that Milka, one of the favorite chocolates ever, one of my favorite chocolate bars, but Milka was the first company in Switzerland to actually make a bar, package it up, and sell it to others. So obviously Pepsi and Coke are 2 of the most popular colas in the world, and we know that they occupy vast majority of the market. But actually, if we look at all of these sodas, right, all of them, 93% are again controlled by 3 companies, right? There is the Coca-Cola group that has Coke, Sprite, Fanta, and so on and so forth. There is PepsiCo, that we're going to talk about later in the video, and there is the Dr. Pepper group, right? These 3 control more than 90% of all sodas. The Mars group was created in 1911 by the Mars family and has 37 billion yearly revenue. Now, it's mostly kind of a big player in chocolates like Mars, Snickers, Bounty, and so on, but also chewing gum and randomly rice. Mars Group owns Uncle Ben's rice. Now, the most curious thing to me about this group is not just its kind of size or its market control, the monopoly that it has in chocolate, but it's that it's the 3rd biggest privately owned company in the US that is also fully family owned. So 100% of Mars Corporation shares, you know, worth billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars, are owned by the Mars family. So now it's the 4th generation of the Mars family that still control the company. Now, a few curious facts about this is, for example, M&M's was sold exclusively to soldiers during World War II because of kind of practical reasons. So chocolate melts really quickly, and that chocolate glazing around the M&M's chocolate actually helps it to stay cool and fresh for longer, right? And it was such a success among soldiers that it was really easy then after World War II to run a marketing campaign and roll it out to the whole country, the US, and then kind of the whole world. Now, also another one of these products, Snickers, was initially marketed in the UK as Marathon because Snickers sounds too similar to Knickers, which is the word for women's underwear. This video mostly covers products that are made for humans, so foods and beverages that humans consume. But for a lot of these brands, you know, when it comes to Nestle, when it comes to Mondelez, when it comes to PepsiCo, Mars, they also own a whole bunch of the animal pet foods, right? So when we think about Whiskas, when we think about Pedigree, like a lot of these are also owned by the same companies. So we all have preferences when it comes to Pepsi versus Coke. I personally think that Pepsi is better, and in blind tastings, usually Pepsi wins. But when it comes to competing, these 2 are 2 very different companies. So PepsiCo group is actually 3 times larger than the Coca-Cola group, and it has all of these brands in its portfolio, right? So from kind of crisps, Cheetos, Doritos, Lay's, to fast food chains we're going to talk about, to a whole bunch of drinks, juices, healthy and otherwise, and also Starbucks, which is like kind of random. Anyway, so PepsiCo has more than 70 billion yearly revenue and is one of the largest players in beverages especially, but also in food, snacking, restaurants. So funny thing about the partnership between Pepsi and Starbucks is that Starbucks was really struggling with selling their cold beverages in supermarkets. That's not their forte. They didn't have good enough kind of contacts and good enough understanding of retail, right, and the business to consumer selling in Walmart, if you're in the US, or Sainsbury's, Tesco's, and so on. But a group that does it really well is the Pepsi group, right? So Pepsi and Starbucks had this huge partnership where Pepsi agreed to distribute all of the Starbucks chilled beverages, and now you can see them kind of everywhere. And another interesting story about PepsiCo as a group is that they actually used to own, at the same time, Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut. Then they kind of spun it off and made a different company out of these three. So these three are now still owned by the same company, but it's called Yum! So that's a whole different company, and now Pepsi has very little to do with that. Now, the reason why Pepsi had to sell Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut was because Coke was really squeezing Pepsi out of the other restaurant chains, because it was saying that because Pepsi owns these restaurants, it's abusing its position to also be the licensed drink of choice, so that Pepsi, while having these restaurants, it was losing the kind of what Pepsi thought was more long-term strategic battle for the dominance in licensed drinks market when it comes to different restaurants. The company that owns these brands actually has 2,000 of them in their portfolio, has $100 billion in yearly revenue, and is the largest food company in the world. The company is Nestle, which is a European large conglomerate that produces pretty much everything that you can eat, and it also dabbles in pharmaceuticals, right? So the company dates back to 1860s, and it's famous for a whole bunch of things. For Nescafe, right, which is I think the coffee of choice for the last like 30 years or something like this, massively popular in the world. For those of you who are from kind of Turkey, from Eastern Europe, I think from Latin America, Nescafe is also sometimes synonymous to coffee itself, or to instant coffee, right, which was the biggest kind of invention that Nescafe had. As always, thank you very much. You are the smartest, the most interesting and interested audience, so I love you all very much. Please don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, notifications. All of this stuff is super helpful. If you like this video, send it to someone else. But as always, stay healthy, stay wealthy. What am I saying? Anyways, bye!